Hello everyone, this is me, Dr. Saras Bhatrai. Uh, Today I am going to talk about the bone of upper limb, that is bone of forearm, that is ulna. Okay, this is the medial side bone of the forearm. The lateral side is the radius. Okay, here you can see this is the ulna, and here is the radius. So this is a typical long bone. It develops by cartilaginous ossification. Coming to the side determination, left or right, the peculiar feature, which will be easy for the students to know whether it is left or right. Just see the radial notch. Okay, here is the radial notch, smooth surface. The radial notch is always lateral. Okay, so this can help in the side determination. And the upper end and lower end, the upper end is hook shaped and contains oligrenal process, coronoid process, and many other structures which I'll describe later. And the lower end contains of head and the styloid process. Styloid process is directed posterior medially in relation to the ulnar head. So these are the parts. So side determination, you see. And next thing, you see this prominent lateral border. It is, or the interosseous border, from where the interosseous membrane comes. So it is always lateral. So you can put in a position. If you put here, this comes medial, so this is not of the left. So if you put here, this comes to the lateral side. The radial must come to the lateral side. The lateral border comes to the lateral side. So this ulna is of the right hand. So talking about the parts, upper end, the upper end contents of the oligrenal process. Okay, oligrenal process. It lodges into the oligrenal fossa of the humerus, and this is the coronoid process. Okay, just below the coronoid process there is the ulnar tuberosity, the rough area, ulnar tuberosity. And then this is the trochlear notch. You can see this is the trochlear notch, and this is the radial notch. Okay, this is the radial notch. And then just below the radial notch there is the supinator fossa, and this is the supinator crest. Okay, supinator fossa and the supinator crest. So this is the parts of the upper end. The lower end consists of head of the ulna, which is rounded and directed laterally, and this is the styloid process. Okay, and the head of ulna is felt subcutaneously in pronation, and then the styloid process is felt subcutaneously in supination. Okay, talking about the shaft is thick above and tapering the lower end. Upper 3/4 is triangular and the lower 1/4 is round. So the ulna has three borders and three surfaces. Three border, the anterior border is from the medial border of the coronoid process to the base of styloid process, and the posterior border is the apex of the oligrenal process below down to the base of styloid process. Okay, and the lateral border is sharp and directed laterally. Okay, so surfaces, three surfaces: anterior surface, medial surface, and the posterior surface. Anterior surface is between anterior border and lateral border. Okay, and then the medial surface is between the anterior border and the posterior border, and the posterior surface is between the lateral border and the posterior border. Okay, so let us talk about the muscle attachments. We have to remember there is three muscles insertion in the ulna. tab, you can remember it like tab, tab, triceps, anconeus, and brachialis. Okay, triceps will be inserted in the posterior part of the oligrenal process. Okay, and then the brachialis will be inserted here in the ulnar tuberosity, just below the coronoid process. And in the lateral surface of oligranule process, okay, this is the oligranule, this is the lateral surface, okay. So here will be the anconeus, okay, here is the anconeus, here anconeus muscles, okay. And then in the upper end, the insertion of few muscles are also there. So I already told this is the supinator fossa and this is the supinator crest. So the origin of the supinator muscles comes from this fossa and the crest. And then here in the medial side, in the medial border of coronary process, up there is the origin of flexor digitorum superficialis, FDS, and just below there is the origin of the pronator teres muscles. The both are the ulnar head. So the muscle attachments in the shaft. So the anterior surface, okay, the anterior surface in the lower end, lower shaft, the pronator quadratus, origin of pronator quadratus takes place here in the anterior surface, and in the anterior and medial surface, flexor digitorum profundus, the origin of flexor FDP takes place. And coming to the posterior surface, three muscles arise there in the order I will take their name. Abductor hallucis, abductor pollicis longus, extensor pollicis longus, and extensor indicis. Okay, these are order which will arise from the posterior surface. And from the this is the anterior border, lateral border, and from the posterior border there is a aponeurosis called ulnar aponeurosis. Okay, from there three muscles arises: flexor carpi ulnaris, extensor carpi ulnaris, and flexor digitorum profundus. Okay, from the posterior border three muscles arise. So this was all about the clavicle. Hope this video finds you well. If it's find you well, please follow and subscribe and share as much as you can. Bye bye.